Okay, call this meeting to order. We're just back from an executive session of the board to discuss. Sure. I'm just calling, I'll call again to order the November 17, 2025 meeting of the Municipal Authority. We're just back from an executive session of the board to discuss privileged matters. Moving on. I'll take a roll call. Yes, I can do a roll call. Hey, Walter Virginis.
Here.
Kevin Moyer.
Here.
Tim Kelly.
Here.
Steve Mackel.
Here.
Maria Kane, I'm here. Our solicitor, Mike Madron. Dave Porter, our engineer. Stephen Neese.
Here.
And our director of operations, Caitlin Sullivan. Okay. All right. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next, has everybody had a chance to review the agenda?
Yep.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next, public comment for agenda items only. I don't see any members of the public here. Steve, are you aware of any public comment?
I'm not.
Right? All right, moving on. Everybody's had a chance to review the minutes from October 2025 meeting. If so, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Okay. And should I abstain since I wasn't here and I think Kevin
You
was
don't
here?
have to abstain. You don't have to abstain due to an absence.
Okay, I have reviewed the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, the treasurer's report. Caitlin, are you giving us that report or is that Steve?
Okay. Well, first thing up would be the Municipal Authority Treasurer's Report. And currently we do have still a healthy cash balance with a little over 10 million. So it's a total of $10,304,908.35. Just beyond that, you're going to find your summary report. The third quarter sewer billing did go out in October. So this report is through the end of the month, October 31st. And again, there are healthy balances overall. Revenues are somewhat slow and expenses as well. We may be ending the year with an operating deficit. Would it continue to verify the reporting that I'm getting? And I'll report back with any difference. Beyond this.
Is that a budgeted deficit that's?
No, we budgeted breaking.
It's not a budgeted deficit. What we're seeing, though, is the trend is that the revenues are a little bit slower than what we originally budgeted, but so are our expenses. So if the expenses end up meeting budget, then we would end up potentially with the deficit for the year.
Gotcha.
That could be about 320,000. We're hoping to be able to control expenses so that if there is a deficit, it's minimal. Today, it's actually both are down 320, one's down 321, one's down 322. So you're right there. But at the end of the day, we're hoping that it works out, that's fine. We're going to watch it pretty closely over the next 30 days or over the next 90 days. And hopefully we'll end up being there. If we need to spend the money and do what we have to do to, finish out the year, we will, which could mean that you had a $300,000 deficit, but you have a solid fund balance, solid cash position that it's not going to put you at risk.
Thank you.
With a $10 million cash position, how big do we want that war chest to be? I guess what I'm asking is, would we ever budget a deficit to start hacking away at that 10 million balance? Is that a healthy?
I
balance
think
to
the
have on the balance
biggest
sheet?
issue, I didn't mean to cut you off, I'll let
No,
you
that's
finish first, but I think the biggest issue, part of that money that's there, that's sitting there in that way is dollars that are set aside for capital projects. So, you know, you got to take that piece out first before you start saying, can I do that? I think a healthy balance that you want to have is at least 25% of your anticipated expenses every year setting aside. It goes back and forth. The Governmental Financial Association has said anywhere from 15 to 25% is a healthy spot to be. I always think, particularly with the municipal authority, the fact that you should be able to pay your at least 1 quarter's worth of bills if something happens. You know, things like when COVID comes, people start to pull back or tend to be later than normal on paying bills and things like that. And so you want to always be in the position where you can make decisions, hopefully in a healthy way, that you're not putting yourself at risk.
So they don't necessarily pull back on how often they flush the toilets.
They don't pull back on what they're using,
Okay.
but they might pull back. You know, if we don't pay the sewer bill, what are they gonna do, right? You know, I may end up paying a little extra down the road, but it's not, I can still put food on my table.
So we feel very comfortable from a balance sheet perspective of the cash on hand.
Yes.
It's an appropriate.
Yeah, particularly for 2 reasons. One is we're not up to the level we need to be collecting for the total amount for your debt service yet. And so you want to make sure you have enough to pay your debt service every year, plus you want to make sure you have enough operating.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
And you'll be able to see those, in the detailed report that follows the summary, you'll notice the infrastructure and debt service fee percentages and what we've collected so far. The Portnoy complete report is also included. It shows that the municipal authority has $183,790.17 with Portnoy. In addition to that, they've already collected $56,153.08 to date through this year. Portnoy has their total collections. And lastly, you'll see the aging report, which was ran through the end of October with a total of $107,825.36. That's all I had as far as the financial reporting. I do have a couple other updates, things that we've been working on.
Just with respect to Portnoy, I mean, I think I've asked this before, but that number's always net of what they charge us, right?
Correct.
Right. So, I mean, I just kind of always want us to be aware of that, you know, I mean, we're utilizing the service because it's, you know, it makes sense. We're bringing in funds that, you know, we wouldn't otherwise have.
Delcora has been installing, they just started today installing the OmniState crystal ball dialers. Today, they were able to install Camelot, Baker's Lane, Springton Point, and Wiltshire through the
Ken,
rest.
are we in the operation manager's report just for the minutes right now? Is this best to organize it there?
Yes, that's the best place.
That's fine.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, all right, she's moved on to.
Caitlin, why don't you?
Do you want me to wait?
Yeah, why don't you hold off after
Okay.
the engineer's report? I'll let you go first and then I'll
Okay.
tie it up at the end.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question about where we are with the audit?
Yeah, so both 23 and 24 have been turned over to the auditor and they're doing their work.
Okay.
I do not know how long they will take to do their work at this point. I would anticipate a couple months, and then we'll get the information to you.
Do we get any pushback from the bondholders on that?
We haven't as of yet, but they know we've shared with them what the issues were and we're trying to get it as quickly as possible for them. We want to get it out to them. You know, we'd like to get it done by no later than end of January of this year, get everything set, and then be on time next year.
Sorry.
No, is that like a reportable, you know, doesn't the terms of,
Yes, it's a reportable
it's a
issue.
reportable.
That's
issue.
why we've been
And you
staying,
have reported it. to
we
them.
have,
So
we've
they're
been
fully
staying on
aware
top of it. We're not,
that, yeah,
we've let them know what the issues are up front, and we've stayed on top of it.
yeah, which is probably why they're not making
Right.
an issue out of it where it's full disclosure kind of
Yep.
thing.
When do we anticipate having a proposed budget to review and approve for the board?
I'm hoping that you'll have your proposed budget in December. And then I think you'll be able to pass it at your first meeting in January.
Great, thank you.
Okay, is that it for the operation managers report?
Well, that was the finance report.
Oh, that was
We'll
finishing up the finance.
let your
Okay.
engineer go first and then we'll do the operation
Okay.
manager report so that it stays with
All right,
you.
we're jumping all over the
Minutes.
place here.
Sorry.
Okay. Or at least in my head, we're jumping all over the place. All right. We'll hear from our engineer.
Hey, thank you, Madam Chair. First, item to report on is the sanitary sewer project we've been working on with, Jurek Inc. The authority processed the first, release of payment. In connection with that, Jurek has provided the 18-month maintenance bond in the amount of 15% of the cost of improvements for the French Road and the Bryn Mawr Avenue, infrastructure that was installed. And I saw that Caitlin did acknowledge receipt of that today from Jurek, so that would start the 18-month maintenance period for those improvements, meaning that if anything happens within that 18-month period of time, that the contractor is obligated to correct it, or we have the ability to draw on those funds to have it corrected. As you know, the balance of the project will be held until after the PGA tournament in May of 2026, which will involve both Westchester Road improvement locations, slated for June of 26 to commence. The authority's fog program with regard to Luigi and Giovanni caterers, they continue to provide their O&M reporting as required. And I think I reported last month that it appeared that they have done some improvements to the interior grease traps as far as not only just maintenance, but ensuring that they're structurally sound as far as having the proper baffles and everything in place. Nothing to report on Stony Knoll at this point. The Newtown Edgemont Little League actually did reach out, had a couple of questions from their sewer contractor. And I am in receipt of a red line drawing for their proposed grinder pump and sewer lateral, which I have not reviewed yet, but it's on my desk to review and respond to them.
And who's their engineer?
They don't have an engineer. They are working with Del Val Septic for the infrastructure and installation.
Is that new infrastructure for them? Are they replacing something?
So right now, they are on lot septic. And during large Little League events, they have challenges with overflows or potential overflows. They have to have septic disposal pump outs several times during the course of a weekend to maintain adequate capacity for serving folks that are attending these events. So what they want to do essentially is decommission their on-lot systems, implement a gravity collection to a small grinder pump that will service the concession stand area and also the Flanagan Center, which will be a 365-day-a-year operation there. So that grinder pump will ultimately pump up to Pine Street.
Pine Street.
In the existing gravity connection there, and then will drain to ultimately the Camelot Lane pump station and CDK. Hickory Lane Pump Station LSA grant application is completed. I did have a couple of revisions to our plans come across my desk last week, so I will be uploading that grant application to complete the process probably tomorrow. I do have the signed resolution from the authority. The pump station O&M with regard to Delcor and Crystal Ball, I know that's coming up in the operations manager report, so I'm not going to get too much into that. I did support Caitlin, the director of operations, with regard to getting information to Delcor for the dimensions and parameters of the wet well so that they can calibrate the OmniSite dialers. 19 Roberts Road, that's something we're going to have to sort of figure out as far as what the authority might have to do in connection with this I&I issue out there. We did find through Caitlin in coordination with the township staff and the authority staff with regard to the owners that are being billed out there. We found that they are connected to public sewer because they are receiving bills. However, the lateral that is leaking is capped, so it's unclear whose it is. If it's not being used, and there's a leak in that capped portion of the lateral, then it's gonna have to be something the authority has to take on as far as a project.
How do we know it's been capped?
RHM televised that section of the line, from Roberts Road, about 120 feet, off-road.
And how did we learn of that issue?
How did we learn of that issue, Caitlin? That was their
Oh,
routine.
just
their
the
routine
cleaning.
cleaning.
Okay.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah. So, and it's a pretty significant amount of clean, it's evident there's clean water coming into the system there.
Yeah, very interesting.
The challenge is gonna be getting equipment off of Roberts Road to that location. Obviously, there's easements and areas that we have to get through. We're gonna have to clear, be able to get equipment back to that location. I'm not certain, because it is a lateral connection, a Y connection that's
Mhm.
capped, whether we might be able to line that. I don't know that it's possible for that, to implement that method of correction at this point. We may have to go in open cut and peel it off. With that, More Construction, who reached out to have a conversation about the off-road. Recall that they submitted a proposal for O&M services for televising lines. It appeared they excluded a lot of the off-road sections, alignments of sanitary sewer in the township. So we're trying to understand why they excluded that, and whether it's possible to have some of that stuff rolled in particular areas that are not off-road through wooded areas. In other words, if there's an easement that just kind of goes between two streets on a block, and if there's free access to either end of that line, we want to try to get as much of that rolled into their O&M inventory that we can. Coincidentally, they've reached back down, and it looks like we have a conference call with them scheduled for tomorrow morning. And lastly, the Four Seasons development, which is the Divaton development on the southerly side of Bishop Hollow Road. I met with Steve Neese and folks from Marple Township, their manager and solicitor, to discuss the logistics of the connection of that development into the Marple Township gravity sewer. So there's already a large section of that development constructed in Marple Township. They want to build the portion in Newtown Township and allow that to drain by gravity into a pump station in the development in Marple Township. And it's just a matter of, ironing out the agreements and what the costs are going to be charged to those homeowners as far as collection and conveyance. It'll be similar for conveyance through CDCA and treatment through Delcora in the city of Philadelphia, depending on which treatment plant it goes to. But it's a matter of ironing out what Marple is going to be obligated to collect from Newtown and or those Newtown residents as far as that collection portion of that infrastructure. And that.
Because those are all Marple addresses?
No, the existing portion of the community is in Marple Township, but there's a portion in Newtown Township that's going to be constructed. They still have to go through sewage facilities planning to be able to make that happen. But those folks that are in Newtown Township, in order to allow that sewage to cross the municipal boundary and be serviced by another either authority or municipality, they have to have 537 planning done. They have to have intermunicipal agreements, and then operation and maintenance agreements for whoever's obligated to pay what as far as collection and conveyance fees.
So we're going to be, we found the old agreement dates back to 1970.
Yeah.
So that was the original agreement. At that point, most of what was happening is Marple's flow was coming into Newtown. And so we're just going to take that agreement. Mike and Adam from Marple will work at putting something together for you to review at a subsequent meeting to say, is this okay?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
That concludes my engineer's report this evening.
Okay, all right, now we can do the operations manager's report.
I just want to give you an update of how things are going with Delcora so far. They're installing the OmniSite, the crystal ball dialers. Today, they were able to get 4 different pump stations on Camelot, Baker's Lane, Springton Point, and Wiltshire. The rest of the dialers will be installed throughout the rest of this week. I spoke to KBX and they were able to verify that they did get the alarm, the alarms were tested, and they were able to acknowledge it and clear it. So far, we're doing great and able to move forward. There are 2 things that they are going to circle back to. They're going to revisit Camelot and run 1 additional wire for the wet well level to be tested. And at Springton Point, they're going to go back there and run a wire to the bioxide levels, so they can test that as well. And that'll be on the dialer.
Is that for all the pump stations? They'll be able to determine the bioxide level?
The 4 that do have,
The 4 that have
Bioxide,
it, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
which brings me to the next bioxide. I was notified Friday afternoon that the systems at all 4 bioxide sites are running and pumping correctly at this time. That was a long time. A lot of adjustments that they made there, but we're up and running.
Good.
Next, I just they're still working on the Newtown Hump Pump Station. The VFD was ordered, it just hasn't arrived yet. So as soon as it comes in, it is a priority for KBX to get it installed as soon as possible. I spoke with him about that today. Hickory Lane Pump Station, the generator arrived. However, we're still waiting for the shipment of the switch, and that's scheduled to be delivered 2nd week of December. There was an alarm that was activated due to a problem with the generator there. So Harry Robinson in Public Works, he went and replaced the block heater today. So this will be a temporary fix, so we won't have any more alarms going off there at Hickory. And
Does that homeowner hear that? I mean, the
yes, so
homeowner
I
is-
spoke to him today and I explained the situation and I let him know that we are going to be installing a new generator. So he is okay with it now that the alarm won't be going off. It just was due to the cold weather that it wasn't heating up. The block heater pumps coolant through the engine to keep it warm. So since it was so cold, that's what was setting the alarm off and he could hear it.
And is that homeowner aware of the long-term plan?
I don't think they're aware of the plan to
Not yet.
eliminate the pump station at this point. They're aware, Caitlin's made them aware that we're replacing the generator. And until we get approval, and we've got a
Yeah.
long way to go to do that, I
Mhm.
wouldn't want to,
I agree. Okay, I just was
I mean,
wondering.
they could obviously hear it at the meeting that we're having tonight, but we
Yes,
don't want to necessarily say, here, this is coming and find out that we can't do it for some reason
right,
until we're
right.
closer to moving forward.
It's not finalized yet.
Yep.
Okay.
But I have been in touch with him. So for now, he is okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all. That was just a couple of things I just wanted to give you a little update on.
So in addition to that, you have in your packet the RHM report. Again, you know, it's very clear on the days that we have lots of rain. If you look down at the end of the month, 30 and 31, there's that big jump. What I will tell you is it's also very clear to me that the other communities have similar problems. When you look at actually, I'm not as upset with our numbers as I look at some of the other communities there. They're almost a total of 50%. We're knocking at the door, but we're not quite there yet. You know, a couple of them. But the other thing I would say is that we kind of consistently stay about 11%, which is what you know, a good number to see that we're staying there. I would make note in your KBX report that you have, we had 4 of the pump stations had wet well cleanings, quarterly wet well cleanings. We did have a set of alarms that went off at both Newtown Hunt and Goshen. And they've been out to look at those. Probably the more of my concern is the ones that they don't know why, than the ones that they do know why. Power going out, we can figure out how to deal with that and we can move forward. The one where they, at the Goshen Road, they're not sure what caused the alarm. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. I'm hoping that the dialers will actually give us a little bit of feedback on some of that. And we may be able to see that there's stress on one of the pumps, and see what's happening there. The other thing that I would make note, I know that Caitlin's been working with some folks to try to get the louvers taken care of at both Camelot. And then I was out with some of our employees at the Newtown Hunt, and the fan there is really loud. So we're going to see if we can't do something to kind of tone that down a little bit, and see where we go from there. If you have any questions for us?
How's KBX? They know, I guess they're being replaced.
Yes, they were notified. We notified Delcora immediately after the meeting and notified KBX immediately after we notified Delcora.
But no change in services, everything's still.
None that I've
Okay.
seen. Caitlin, I don't think you've seen
That's good.
anything either.
No, KBX is working well with me to finish out the year and get a lot of loose ends tied up.
Great.
Very responsive.
All right, unless there's any further questions, we'll move on. Consider ratifying the reoccurring bills paid on check register A dated October 30, 2025, totaling $2,563.35. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, consider approving the bills on check register B dated November 17, 2025, totaling $47,707.97. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you, Walter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, consider approving a bond payment totaling $1,063,596.66 to TD Wealth Management for the Sewer Revenue Bond Series 2018. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you, Steve. Any questions or comments on that one?
It's just our normal expected bond payment at this time. What
It is.
Annual.
It is.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Next, moving on, consider approving a refund to Serafina Perone for 8 Surrey Lane in the amount of $195.73 for a sewer overpayment. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Walter. Any questions or comments? Can we discuss this just based on the value at hand?
Can you get a second?
Do you want me to get the second
Get the
first?
second
Okay,
and
second
yeah.
first. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Tim.
Yes, so I want to mention to you, the last version of our refund policy that I have on my computer, which admittedly has red lines in it, so I'm not sure it's the final version of the refund policy. Had the opportunity for administrative relief on refunds of less than $1,000 if they looked straightforward to the administration. So I just wanted to mention that I'm going to get a copy of that policy, the finalized version. I'll work with Caitlin and we'll figure this out, and maybe we won't have to clutter your agenda with these little ones going forward.
Right, as long as there's, policy backing it up, I think that's a good idea. But for now, any questions or comments on this one? Should we go ahead and vote on this one?
Yeah, I wouldn't make Mrs. Perone wait an extra month just because of it.
Yeah, and it does come up a lot, so yeah, it would be very helpful if Mike, you can work with Caitlin to make sure we have the most recent policy and that we're following it.
And, I would say almost half of them, Caitlin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, tend to happen when a person goes to sell their home. They have to pay, and then the title company pays as well. They hold out, and it ends up being a double payment. I was actually just reviewing some non-Newtown resident situation over the weekend, and I saw the exact same thing happen. They paid, the homeowner was trying to be responsible, pay what they thought they owed. But when they went to go to closing, the title company had already withheld the money and already paid it on their behalf. So you end up with it being paid twice.
See that happening. Okay,
Very
all
clear.
right. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, any old business? Any additional public comment? If not, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
You.
Like it when it's almost 7:30.
Yeah.